so much for the Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really excited to get to meet all of you. I don't think I've met everybody, but I'm Leslie Gonzalez. I am the HCV director for HousingWorks. I've been with HousingWorks for 17 years now, and I started at the front desk and then worked my way, and now we run the program, but it's a big program. It's the only housing choice voucher program here in Central Oregon, and we cover 3 counties. But thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for letting me come, and I apologize. Technology is not my fan. Since coming back from vacation, it's like I forgot how to use Zoom, but I am glad to be on here with you all, and I do have a slideshow presentation, so I will go through that. I don't know, Lindsay, do we want to just save questions till the very end or as I go along? What would you prefer?
Let's save questions till the end, but I'll also monitor the chat. So if there's something that seems like, oh gosh, we shouldn't move forward, I'll try to interject, but want you to be able to deliver the content. And yeah, definitely drop those questions, guys, and I'll make sure I'm keeping track of them.
Wonderful, thank you. So I will get started with the presentation and I will share my screen. Hopefully it works the way that I want it to work. Okay, so the Housing Choice Voucher Program is what I said, the biggest program that HousingWorks has to offer. It is more commonly known as Section 8 or HUD, but I just want to clarify the Section 8 is just the part of the rule book in the government of where this program lies in. So that's why it's called Section 8. As far as HUD is really the branch. It's the Housing and Urban Development. So when we're actually referring to the program, it's the Housing Choice Voucher Program. It was renamed from Section 8, and that's what we administer. We also administer what we call PathWorks, which stands for Personal Achievement Through HousingWorks. It is also known as the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which is a one-to-one mentorship with clients to help them grow, not just need the assistance, whatever time frame they need it, but work on whatever goals they might have. And maybe the end goal is release assistance and become homeowners. And that's what this program is specifically set up to do. So we're going to talk first about the Housing Choice Voucher Program, as well as go into some details about how the wait list works. So the Housing Choice Voucher Program, like I said, is the biggest program that we offer. We are the local housing authority that covers 3 counties, so Crook, Deschutes, and Jefferson. Outside of that has its own housing authority, has its own designated area. Our housing authority only goes as far as Lapine. On that side south, we do cover Sisters, Black Butte area, all the way down to Madras. We do not cover the Warm Springs area because Warm Springs has its own designated housing authority. So we don't touch that specific area. However, anyone that lives in Warm Springs is always more than welcome to apply to our wait list. And then we also do cover as far as like Prineville, everything in between. The program is 100% federally funded. As an agency, we are a little different because most housing authorities have a need in an area, and HUD will come in and say, this is a perfect spot. We need to have a housing authority here. And they set that up. Well, we didn't do that. HUD never came in versus our old ED said there's a huge need in Central Oregon, and it was in the 70s, and they applied. So we brought the voucher program over here into Central Oregon. It is designated to be considered tenant-based, and tenant-based is different than project-based. So tenant-based means I give you a voucher and you get to pick, you have the choice of where you want to use this voucher at. And we love that opportunity because not everything is cookie cutter. We don't want you to be in a specific type of household and that's it. Project-based is when specific units are designated to have subsidized assistance, and you have to live there in order to get reduced rent based on your income. The Housing Choice Voucher, which is the wait list that will open up in January in a couple of weeks, is tenant-based. So you get the voucher, you get to decide where you want to live, and it might not be Central Oregon. Maybe it's an opportunity to relocate somewhere else, and you can do that through portability if you're selected. So it is very flexible. It does allow you movement and opportunities. There are some restrictions to this voucher, and those specific restrictions are we want to make sure that it passes inspection, and that's minimum standards. I'm talking incredibly minimum because if the hole isn't anything bigger than a sheet of paper and 8.5 by 11, then it passes. Obviously, we want to take care of our housing stock, but we always encourage the tenant and landlords to work very closely on any maintenance requests. But it is incredibly minimal. We're not going to go in with a white glove and double check housekeeping. We don't do any of that. It's just to make sure it's decent, safe, and sanitary. Also, we want to make sure there isn't already subsidy attached to that unit. So no double subsidy. So if somebody else is providing support in that, it might be another program, maybe rapid rehousing or neighbor impact, whatever that might be, we can't have double dipping. It also cannot be a property that is already subsidized. So you can't swap it one over the other. And then the rent has to be reasonable, which we know in Central Oregon, there is no such thing as reasonable rents. However, our rates are becoming more and more competitive with the market. So we are increasing our rates annually for that. Now, the tenant is the one that negotiates the terms of the lease. And it's a three-way partnership in the sense of HousingWorks has a voucher with the tenant. And then outside of that, the tenant has their contract or rental agreement with the landlord. And then with the landlord and HousingWorks, we have the housing assistance payment contract. So it's a three-way partnership, but you want to look at HousingWorks as a bank. We are just providing the dollars, the subsidy that is there to support the client. And like I mentioned, the unit can be anywhere in the US as long as the assistance is provided there. So if your client really wants to go to Hawaii, I will volunteer to be their housing specialist in Hawaii. They're more than welcome to take their voucher there. And as long as there's a housing authority in that area, the client can move. So how does the payments work? Like I said, it's a three-way partnership. We all work together. It's a common goal. However, we don't get in the middle of the lease. The rental agreements are not a part of HousingWorks. So it's really important for tenants, families to advocate for themselves, work with the tools that are available in Central Oregon for you to get the support that you need. We can't get in the middle of your rental agreement, same as the landlord. I cannot screen for tenancy. That's the landlord's responsibility. They need to screen for suitability as tenants, do their credit reports, their background checks, whatever that might be. For us, it's only program eligibility. It's very minimal. A program eligibility just means, are you within our counties? Do you income qualify, which is under 50% of the AMI for the county? As far as previous program participation, you don't owe thousands and thousands of dollars to another housing authority. And when it comes to background, there's really only two big reasons why we can't. And that's a registered sex offender and a manufacturing and distribution of meth in federally assisted housing. So that's the catch. So that's it. Outside of that, we have some flexibility around that, and we're able to work with clients that do have some background related concerns. All right, so here's just a visual of kind of how that partnership works. Again, it's with us, it's just the voucher. It's the family obligations. It's making sure that you are not just following the terms of your rental agreement, because that's a big part too, is your family obligations say that you are not going to commit some serious repeated lease violations. It also says you're going to pay your rent on time, pass your inspections, still be program eligible. Because that does happen, and that's not a bad thing when you're not eligible for the program. That means we've worked really well with you, so your income goes up where now you're covering it 100% yourself. And then we have different types of vouchers that we offer. We have the regular vouchers, which is what we will be opening up in January 8th through the 12th. And those are called the Housing Choice Voucher. Within that umbrella, we have some other types of vouchers. One of them is 200 of those designated voucher is non-elderly disabled. So anybody that is under 62 and head, spouse, or co-head has a disability. In total, we are 100% leased on these on non-elderly disabled. But what we're going to focus on is the mainstream vouchers. Mainstream is only 92 of our total pool are for those that are homeless or houseless, formerly institutionalized, and have a disability. And the catch is, it does not have to be an adult that has a disability. It can be a child, and that's okay. We also have the referral-based vouchers, and those are specific to types of vouchers that are designated only for a population. We have 89 vouchers to support homeless veterans with the partnership with the local VA. We also have 29 family unification vouchers, and these are specific for those that are working on keeping kiddos in custody or getting kiddos back through child welfare, as well as a mixture of those being homeless youth that are exiting the foster care system. So only 29 of those. And then the big ones that we received during COVID were the emergency housing vouchers, 96 of them, which we actually hit it way out of the ballpark. It was over 100% leased. Thankfully, HUD is going to support those that are over leased. We unfortunately cannot reissue anymore. That program has ended, but we are grandfathering in everybody that was on the program. So that's really exciting news. So those are referral based. So you don't necessarily apply to our waitlist for these. You have to be referred by those partner agencies. We also have project-based, and that's specific to our communities. So HousingWorks owns close to 1,500 units all over Central Oregon. And within these units, we have a select few amount of bedroom sizes of units that have assistance close to the housing choice voucher that is linked to that property. So in that unit, it has its own separate wait list. You would get reduced rent based on your income, but they don't go into this big general pool that is going to be opening up in January. We do have requirements. HUD requires that housing authorities serve always the neediest of the neediest first. That means that 75% of the population that enters my program when we pull from the wait list needs to be at 30% AMI or under. So that's the big number we have to focus on every year is we always make sure that when we're selecting from the wait list, we're always selecting first anybody whose income is at 30% or under. The AMIs are listed on our website. So for reference, if you have any curiosity about that, that is what we do. We have everything posted. I've been redoing our website over the last year, so it is very user-friendly. I have a whole section in Spanish for Spanish speakers. Everything is translated. There's just a lot of material. So I would say for being a small agency, our website is actually very, very well done. So I'm not bragging about myself, but I'm just saying we do work very hard to make sure that our website has all the information you need. So what's the first step in getting a voucher? You apply. You apply in January 8th through the 12th. At 8 in the morning on Monday, January 8th, we will open up the wait list, and it's literally a click of a button. You press that button and everything goes live. You cannot put in an application before then. It won't even let you. It won't even appear. The wait list will remain open until 5 p.m. on Friday, January 12th. And again, it is a click of a button. So if you are in the middle of an application and it's rolling around 5 p.m. and you haven't completed, it will not let you turn that application in if 5 o'clock hits. So that's why it's important. Try to work very closely with your clients or as early as possible in the week because we want to troubleshoot any technical issues early on. As you've guessed it, between 3 and 5 p.m. on Friday, it's crunch time. We are working really hard because there's a lot of folks unfortunately waited last minute or just heard about it. So we are all hands down, and we have close to 12 staff members that this is their focus for the week. So we have the wait list that we open it up. Once the wait list closes, we lotterize it. Again, it's another magical button that we just press. It completely shuffles everything. You may be the very last person to turn in an application completed online. It maybe turns out that the lottery makes you number 10. So it's very randomized. And once that wait list closes, like I said, we lotterize the list. Those numbers, the final positions, are usually available the first week in February. Anybody that applied can go back in first week of February and find out what their position is on the wait list. So that's why it's important when you're helping clients that they keep the login information, or maybe you can support them with that. Keep that login information somewhere safe, because they will need that back when referencing the information. Also, anytime they need to update information as far as their income, maybe their income went down and we need to update that. Household members change, we need to update that, because we want to make sure we're updating it as much as we can. So our wait list will only take applications online. It is free. It has happened in the past where somebody has said, I will help you put an application for this fee, or go ahead and put in an application for this fee. It is completely free. It's through our website. There will be a traffic light that will appear. It'll be green when it says open, and you just click it and it takes you to information of the application and says click here to apply, and then you have your application portal. If your income is over 50% of the AMI, then you are considered over income. You can still apply. The reason I say that is maybe your income is going to change. Maybe you have some circumstances that do change. So I don't want to deter you from applying, because if your income does change and you are not selected, then at that point you can update it. And maybe in the next round of waitlist pulls, because we will pull throughout the year based on your ranking order, it might be that your number will be the one that gets called and your income did change. The one big item that I just want to make sure to clarify is applications do not carry over from one year to another. We purge every year. December 31st, I'm actually working with our software company right now. They are going to purge the waitlist on December 31st. Every applicant that was still remaining on list will actually be marked as removed. They will get an email notification letting them know that their application was removed, and to reapply, you have to do it this year. So anybody who's thinking, oh, it's just going to carry over, it won't. We start fresh every year. And it is the easiest way that our housing authority has determined to do that, because other housing authorities have a wait list that is anywhere from 5 to 10 years long. We also heard New York has a 25-year wait list. So this is the best way for us as we start over every year. And we have other wait lists that open up for other properties. And that's what we encourage clients to just get on, as many wait lists as possible. Everything is always posted on our website. And I also run our Facebook page, so I post that on Facebook as well. So once you are securing housing, what you're going to do is we lotterize it, like I said. If you're selected from the wait list, you'll get a notification in the mail as well as over email. That's why it's important to have valid email addresses. So no fake email addresses just to try to get on the wait list, because our communication is really through email and through the mail. Somebody doesn't have an address, we can use general delivery, or you can send it somewhere else, whatever is easiest for you. So you're selected, you're going to get a letter saying, congratulations, this is what we need to complete the next step to determine your eligibility. You turn that information in. We look at your income requirements, we look at your background, and then we schedule you for an orientation. And at the orientation, it's a one-to-one briefing with the housing specialist. If there is a barrier with transportation, we are more than happy to do that over the phone. We can also do it virtually. We have that capability now. And we have a satellite office in Bend. Our Bend office is open to the public Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at the Summit Park Community Room, which is, I can't even remember the address right now, but it's on Full Moon Drive. It's in the community room. We have a Bend style office, like I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9 to 4. During waitlist week, our office will be open the entire week. Our normal business operation hours are Monday through Thursday, and we're closed on Friday to the public. However, we're going to open the entire week to make sure we're available. That's the only week when we're open all week, including Friday. But we will have staff at the Bend satellite office for anybody that cannot travel into Redmond or has limited transportation. So there will be technical assistance there. You can do it over the phone. You can email us and say, hey, I'm having issues. Can I schedule somebody to call me? We can do that as well. For partners, what I really want to stress is when you're working with clients, always ask, did you apply before? Because more than likely they do have an account. They just can't remember what email they used or need to reset passwords. So instead of creating a whole nother account, which we want to avoid doing, we want to do that research beforehand and try to figure out that information. They don't remember, if you have their authorization, you can call even our office now and we can tell you what that information is. And we can get that ahead of time instead of waiting during waitlist week, which hopefully will save you time because I'm sure you all are all working really hard during that week. So the less of a hassle it can be, that's what we're trying to aim for. So at the orientation, you'll get your estimates of how much assistance HousingWorks can give you. You'll get a voucher that will be issued to you. The voucher is for 120 days, means client has 120 days to find a unit and secure housing. And then if for some reason the 120 days lapses, or before it lapses, I would highly encourage, is we do have the ability to extend vouchers. And we can extend an additional 30 days as a reasonable accommodation for someone with a disability. So we have the ability to extend vouchers. For those that find and secure a location, there's some paperwork that they'll turn in, and it's called the request for tenancy approval, also golden key packet. Pass your inspections, and then you sign your rental agreement. I highly encourage, if you do get a voucher and you are securing a unit and maybe you haven't necessarily moved in yet, do not move into that unit until the unit passes inspection, because now you're going to pay for that out of pocket if that unit fails and isn't passing inspection. So that has happened in the past where clients unfortunately need to be in a unit ASAP. And because of that, they have bypassed the inspection and they've signed a rental agreement when they take possession. And then the unit doesn't pass. The landlord doesn't want to fix it. Now they're stuck in a unit without assistance. Okay, so here's just some portals, some information and additional resources. Lindsay, I'm more than happy to provide you with these slides so that you can share with the group, but here's just some additional resources that might be helpful to the team. And then this is the team. This is everybody who's on the Housing Choice Voucher Program and everybody who administers our programs. Andy and Vanessa will be more than likely the two that will be working out of our Bend satellite office. So they'll be the ones providing support, but it's all hands on deck during waitlist week. And we are here to support you and support the clients in our communities. So that's it for that. Sorry, that's it for that part of the presentation. Are there any questions so far?
Not seeing questions in the chat, Leslie, but you've covered some really important information. So I do want to pause and let folks maybe raise hands or jump in for some content questions. I picked out a few things that I thought were really helpful to understand. The 3 criteria to make you eligible for housing choice vouchers, being under 50% of AMI, seems like a really important thing to know about. Not being able to be a voucher recipient if you are a registered sex offender, and then clarifying that if people have been convicted of methamphetamine distribution or manufacturing in federal housing, that would also disqualify them from the HCV process. Did I get those 3 things right?
Yeah, those are correct.
And then I also heard you say you could reach out now to get client rent cafe information. And I thought that was such an important thing to think about for those folks who have clients that they know, but maybe haven't assisted before with this process. So I wanted to call that out as well.
I appreciate you mentioning that, because we have had partners in the past that have sent me 150 names or 200 of folks that they've been working with and can't reset passwords, can't figure any of that out. And I'm doing that during waitlist week. And so we really are trying to get everybody in as fast as we can. But if we can do that beforehand, that does definitely save us some time.
Oh, hi, Leslie. It's Solomar. I had a couple questions. A question about undocumented individual where the parents are undocumented, but they have children that's US citizen. Can you share more on that?
Yeah, as long as one member of the household has a social security number that is valid, the assistance can be granted to the family. However, it's considered prorated and it is considered a mixed family. So the assistance would not be 100%. They would only get assistance for the eligible members in the household. When it comes to the wait list, the applicant can still apply. I would not encourage them to use a member's social security number as their own. If they truly do not have a social security number assigned to them, the all nines is the way to bypass that.
Okay, thank you. And then another question, I had clarifying. So HousingWorks in Redmond will not be open to assist individuals the week of the voucher, correct? Because
Can
I
you
know,
repeat that?
like the HousingWorks office here in Redmond, will they be open?
Yeah.
Okay, to assist individuals in that week.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
They are
perfect.
open, yeah. Our
Okay,
normal business hours is just that we close on Fridays, but during that week, we will open the entire week, Monday through Friday.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we also have the Latino Community Association that is on standby to help any Spanish speakers.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a good resource.
I see a question from Kyle F in the chat. It says, is there a specific form that is needed for a reasonable accommodation for a voucher extension?
No, no specific form. There is one available in the orientation packet that they are given, but there is no specific form. They can send something in an email or just a piece of paper and just send it to our office, whatever is easiest.
And then there was, I think a really important part is that if people applied last year, they're going to get removed from the waiting list, correct? So
That is
everyone needs to reinitiate. And I think that that is often a misconception, right?
more often than you can think of. It does not carry over. We start fresh every January.
And then I also heard you say during the year, people should be updating information. So when people are selected for HCVs, do they get phone calls, letters? What kind of information would we be updating during the year besides income?
Yeah, so if they are selected, the very first initial is a letter. And what we just started doing is we don't send phone calls. We do emails. So if there is an email that is necessary, then we will go ahead and do that. The other catch to that is we do have text capability, so we try to send as many text messages as we can. We understand that at the end of the month, a lot of clients have lost their minutes, so we can't really do much about that, especially with low income. But if you have Wi-Fi, you can get text. And so we have been able to start sending text messages of clients informing them that they should be checking their mail, check their email because they were selected. And our text number is available on our website. So anybody that needs it, clients can text us there all the time, anytime. The only thing is we can't take phone calls from that. It's text only line.
Great info. Any other questions? I don't see any hands raised or
Okay.
questions in the chat, so I'm wondering if you want to do a little demo for us.
Yeah, so I have our test portal open right now for testing. It is not, it's not something that I share with the general public. The reason I don't do that is because I don't want you to accidentally start putting applications into my test portal and then come to find out that all the ones that you helped your clients with are actually on the test side and not our live side. So I don't share that, but I did open up the portal so that we can do some testing right now. So I will do that. I'll run through some fake applications with you all. And just a quick reminder, as clients are registering, applying, whatever that process is, every step of the way, they are getting an email. So that's why the valid email addresses are incredibly important, because you'll get an email that says, thank you for registering, or you'll need some information like, this is where you're at on the application, or reinitiating your application, or if you actually completed your application, it'll tell you that. So I just want to clarify that before we start.
Leslie, I see a good question from Isaac that is slightly maybe Mosaic specific, but also I think really good general info. So some individuals don't have like Wi-Fi, email, etc. So would you recommend a case manager use their email address, or would you recommend we assist them in creating their own email address?
I would not recommend using your email address, because if you're helping multiple clients, it isn't going to recognize your email as already registered, and it will not let you pick any more, like take any more out of that. I know that in the past I mentioned that the workaround was just creating like doing a +1, +2, +3, but it is better if you assist them in creating their own email address, even if they never check it, even if the only time they check it is during waitlist week. It is better to create that email for them and then assist them with that. Maybe it's adding those notes of what that login is, because if they are applying to properties with Epic, that email address is registered. So we want to try using a different email address, or if you create one for them. I don't know. I had one client that specifically said community HCV waitlist, and then +1 was assigned to John Doe, and +2 was assigned to this other client, +3 was assigned to that client. I mean, that's a workaround, but I would really appreciate if we're not just creating new accounts or fake accounts. We are just using whatever the client is, because it actually, every time that we are creating a new account, it creates a new tenant code in my software. And so if I have 5 of them, I don't know which one I'm selecting. So it's good to ask, did you apply before? Can we try to figure out which ones they applied for? We want to use what's existing before creating a new one.
Great point. And then I also heard you say something that maybe people didn't realize, is that this waitlist software is the same software that you use for specific apartment waitlists. So the login would be the
Yes, yeah.
same.
When Epic opens their wait list for any of their communities, it's the same portal, which is why you don't want to use the same email address and it won't let you. I've also had a client that said, I've never applied to the wait list, but they applied to multiple communities at Epic. And so it will not let them register for my portal because that email is already registered. So we have to figure out some workarounds with that.
And then Rob has a question.
Yeah, I understand. I know that there, one big challenge every year is people who have forgotten their passwords and then try and reach out to you during sign up week for their passwords. Is there a recommendation?
Yeah, there's a
to do that ahead of time?
Yeah, there's a forgot password link right on the application portal. So, but if they don't have access to that email anymore, what I would do is I would first make sure and ask Sandy, who's our intake specialist, if they can retrieve that login. If we don't have access to anything anymore, and the best thing to do is just start all over, we have to get one of our staff members at HousingWorks to completely delete the account and start fresh with a new email.
And can we do that in advance in
Yeah.
anticipation of people forgetting their password and or
Yes,
email?
yes, I would say do it now. It's the
Okay.
best time.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to start the portal. Okay. All right, so when you apply to the waitlist, this is what that looks like. You will go into applicant login. If a returning user, email goes here, password goes here. Here's the forgot password link. But if it's a brand new client, never registered before, we're going to go register now. Most clients will not have a registration code because they're not in our system. But ever so often, if the system will recognize their social security number, it will say, this is already registered, but you need to use this registration code to sign up. So you say, I have a registration code. But for now, we're going to do the I do not have a registration code. This is not, this is the same portal, but I did not add the 2024 waitlist button. So just so you know, that ending piece is going to be a little different, but it's the same exact portal. So I'm going to use me as an example. Ah. This is why my keyboard is always messing with me. Okay, so for now, I am just going to use all nines for my security, not add my social security number. But if we do have a valid social security number, please enter this. If you don't know your client's social security number, please get that first. What I have seen in the past is maybe we only know the last four of the social security number. So what we're doing is all nines and then entering the last four. We do not want to do that. We actually need to put in their valid social security number. So confirming the number. So I'm going to use, this is the portal that I am testing on. So I'm just going to say for today's date, I'm going to do 14. But it's going to be HousingWorks 14. The password needs to be at least 10 characters long. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're helping clients. So just do. Okay, so once you read the terms, hit accept and hit register. And there it is, registered. You're registered successfully. Everything's good to go there. And this is where you start your application. You can select English or you can select Spanish. We're going to select English for now, and you're going to hit next. You read through the equal opportunity statement. Do I need to maximize the screen at all in any way? Is this good? Is that better? Much better? Okay, thank you. All right, so here's where we start entering our mailing address. So I'm just going to put in, if there is no address, just put general delivery. If you are the address for a client, because I've seen that sometimes where Deschutes County has done that, then I would put in attention, blah, 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 and then put the address of who that is. But I'm just going to use HousingWorks address. If you do not have a mailing address, you just click that button. There's the email, whatever that phone number is, if they don't have a phone number here, and then hit next. So as you can see, there is a percentage at the very top where it's telling you where your application is. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how close we are to completing our application. The next step is going to be to add household information. So this is where it starts. On here, before moving forward, it's gonna require, and you'll see, you must complete all areas. So to complete this person, you hit the more info needed button. And anything that has an asterisk is what is needed. So here's where I would say, if you don't know what the client's status is, just put pending verification. If the client does not have an actual social security number assigned to them, I would mark ineligible non-citizen. But if they do, then put eligible citizen.
Leslie, quick question. I see
Sure.
the gender identity options are just the binary. What do we do for those individuals who identify with a
At
different?
this time, this is only the pre-application, so it's whatever is assigned at birth.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that my birthday was, oh, I wish, oh my. Okay. So is this person disabled is the other question. You can decline to disclose, you can say yes or no, whatever that might be. Ethnicity, and then whichever is applicable for race. You have to either say yes or no to those. It will not let you leave it blank. So even if I try to mark them all no, I have seen it where it won't let you save it. Yeah. So that's an example. So I'm just gonna say that one and then hit save. All right, so that's it. But if I want to keep adding members to the household, then I have to hit the add member button and then do the same steps for every member that I'm adding. For now and for time, we're just gonna leave it as that. Once you're done, you hit next. Here's where I enter my household income, and this is everybody in the household that is applying their total income. If it's zero, we leave it zero, but it's not monthly income, is annual income. So for now, we're just gonna put 0 on here, and then we hit next. Here's unit accessibility. So any features that they require, it's really just for data entry. It's nothing specific to their property. So if none, we hit none, hit next. Here's some really good questions because we do select based off specific categories. So if somebody is displaced, homeless, none, whichever applies to them. And displaced, this means that there is a natural disaster or a change due to government action. That's what they would be. So because we do refer for some other vouchers, we have the ability to take data from our wait list, and this is where those questions lie. So are you a veteran? You say yes or no. Are you working with DHS to unify family? Whatever that might be. Are you between 18? And you just go through and answer these questions to the best of your knowledge. Right now, because we're in the test portal, these other preferences will open up, but during waitlist week, the only two you will see is mainstream and resident. If your client is somebody under the age of 62 and has a disability or has a member in the household that has a disability, you mark the mainstream preference. If they are living, working, or will be working in one of the 3 counties we cover, you mark resident. This is a very common one that does not get marked. And the way it works is we select based off of preferences first. So if you have a Bend address, but you didn't mark you were a reference, or you were a resident, we're going to skip over you. So make sure that if you are a Central Oregon resident and have a Central Oregon address, or will be having a Central Oregon address, it has to say resident, because if you don't, we're going to skip over you. Here's the other part gets missed very often. If I continue the application without selecting the waitlist that I want to select for, I didn't actually apply to the waitlist. So if I uncheck that box and hit next, I did not actually apply to the waitlist. So you have to select, and this is going to say 2024 for the one in January. So that's the only difference. But once you select that, you hit next. It'll have you go through each of the tabs to confirm your information is correct. If it is, you hit the button that you accept, hit next, and you're all done. That's it. That's it for the application. You can download a copy via PDF if that's what you want, but that's it for the application portal. So the application is really easy. We try to make it as user-friendly. And this is probably a good time to get feedback and questions for anybody that needs more support. So I'm going to open it up.
Yeah, and I'll look for both chat and hands raised. My first question is actually, can you make it so that that waitlist button is automatically checked? You cannot. Okay.
No,
darn.
because the way the software company works is that you can have multiple waitlists open through the portal. And so the clients will pick which ones they actually want to apply for. And so that's why it doesn't just manually open it up.
Thank you. I thought I'd advocate for that. Tylara or Tylara, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Go ahead.
Hi there. So my question is about the mainstream category. So I read it as not elderly but disabled and has and homeless or whatnot, right? Or then I also had mainstream as homeless and elderly. So I'm a little confused about the elderly and the houseless and the disabled.
No, it's non-elderly. So under 62 and anybody in the household is disabled. And on top of that, it's either homeless or at risk of homeless, at risk of being institutionalized or exiting an institution.
Oh, so that's another category. Okay. And then so if they are elderly and they're not disabled, then they just go into the local one that's just shoots or county or whatnot. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is there any like additional documents needed, like no proof of income or anything?
Nope, not at
Okay.
this time.
Okay, cool.
There's also a question in the chat about after the initial submission, right? So after the 12th, how often should people be checking their waitlist status? And yeah, can you just review the notification process? And once you do that, we'll let Rob ask his next question.
Yeah, they can check anytime, as many times as they need it. As we select names from the wait list, they'll notice their position keep going up. Historically, we have selected maybe 600 at most, 700. And I have seen us get close to 2,300 applications in a given year. Not all of them are from our area. For whatever reason, I get a lot of out of the state. I get a lot from New York, Florida. But that's why we have a resident preference, as we serve our community first. And I just want to just let everybody know that we have about 1,450 vouchers allocated to HousingWorks, and most of them are used. So the reason why we open the wait list is only to use up the ones that have been removed, exited, passed away, and we're just working off our current voucher pool. Rob?
Yeah, when you're filling out your application and entering all the household members, do you include children of all
Mhm.
ages as well?
Yes,
So if you have an infant, you would put all that person's information as well.
correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Is that also true in a family reunification setting? Would you put the hoped for reunifying
Yes.
children? Okay.
Everybody. Yeah.
Any other questions about the waitlist process, how to get help? Leslie, can you help us understand why we do this just once a year versus I think there are some communities who do it twice a year. You also mentioned some communities have lifetime lists. Can you talk about
Yeah.
why Central Oregon does it one time a year?
Yeah, that was the easiest way for us to figure out how to administer a wait list. We know that there's a big need in the community, and this information is incredibly necessary every year when we open it up, because that'll help us advocate for more vouchers. We haven't gotten new vouchers since we received the emergency housing voucher. So no, HUD knowing this information will help them see that we do have a need and we need to do this. In the past, when I first started working for HousingWorks, I remember we used to have wait lists where you had to turn in paper applications and you had to be at our office. So that was unfair to have somebody sit out in the cold in the middle of January and turn in a paper application. So the online application is where you can do it at the comfort of your home or do it anywhere, an advocate's office, wherever is possible to you, and just put in an application. So if we only open this wait list once a year, the general one, but like I said earlier, is we have other communities in Central Oregon which are project-based, and those are open throughout the entire year. So we definitely encourage everybody to to apply to those wait lists as well, because it's another way of bypassing the big general wait list. You have to live in that community for a year. But then once you move out of that community, you now get a regular Section 8 voucher, housing choice voucher, and you get to pick anywhere you want to live, frees up that unit for somebody else now. So, I mean, that's another workaround, but the big general wait list really only opens up once a year.
Thank you. I see two questions in the chat. One from Isaac, is HousingWorks on the
We are.
Unitas platform? However, if you refer via the platform, does that put you on the wait list? I think
No.
that would be an important clarification. So you can refer via the platform, but that does not add someone to the wait list. Does it guarantee your team will reach out in the week of January 8th?
So on the Unitas portal, I don't believe I don't administer that portal. It might be Sandy. It is just so much easier to just contact our office directly. Because we do have quite a bit of phone calls. And so what we're really doing is everybody's just answering phone calls as fast as we can and try to work or schedule appointments for anybody. So
So maybe not the best way to get people on the wait list.
Probably not.
Okay. I've seen it work well for referring to your other programs like PathWorks, people who
Yes,
are already
it's a
residents,
perfect.
but not for vouchers.
Correct. It's a perfect avenue for PathWorks.
And then another question from someone pretending to be me today. What happens if someone is chosen but does not go through with it? Is someone else chosen? So maybe talk about the timeline for voucher issuance and the reasonable
Yeah,
accommodation
so
against
once
it.
you're selected, really it's a 10 business day turnaround time. So if you're gonna want to respond to us within those 10 business days, if you need a little bit of an extension, we can give you probably a week more. But if you decide you don't want to take the voucher anymore, that's okay. Then we will select somebody at the next round. But we do that in rounds. So we typically will select anywhere from 75 to 100 names every 2.5, 3 months. So things like that.
Great. And as we're coming up with 5 minutes left in our meeting today, I just want to do a couple quick housekeeping. First, I want to give a big appreciation and thank you to Leslie for making an HLC specific training with all this good insider tips as well as the demo. I think that's really helpful. So thank you, Leslie, for your time. I want to thank all of you who took time out of your day to prepare for this and start thinking about how you'll support your clients, patients, et cetera. I also want to remind you, if you did not use the Zoom link to register, you will not get the recap. So either click that registration link, it was in the HLC newsletter, it's on the HLC website, or perhaps you received it directly from me. Please go ahead and either register or put your email address in the chat so that I can make sure you get the recap that includes a link to where we post the recording as well as some supplemental materials that Leslie has made available. And then I did just launch a poll so I could give some feedback to Leslie about this great presentation. So feel free to go ahead and take that. And then we've just got a couple questions left. So I see a question in the chat from Isaac. I've met folks who have a voucher, but state they cannot find a place. Do you have employees in place to help with searches, et cetera?
I don't have employees. However, I do have a contract with Thrive Central Oregon for housing navigation support. And it has been in place for the last 4 months, 3-4 months. So if somebody needs additional support, they should contact Thrive Central Oregon and they'll immediately get with an advocate and start helping them with their search.
Does that mean everyone who's awarded a voucher gets connected to Thrive, or do people just need to walk into Thrive's hours?
No, it'll be a referral. So if you do need support, we'll immediately just do a warm handoff. I'm also working with Ability to help me work with clients on the front end. So if you're selected and need support, then Ability will be another connection to be able to support you, get all your paperwork going, and successfully turn in that pre-application once you're selected, because then there's more paperwork, that you turn in, but it's helping with that paperwork.
And another question, when is the initial lottery pulled, clients contacted, when's the first poll, and then
Yeah,
how often?
it just depends on when we're going to be doing. There is no set schedule for that because, like I said, we are just filling those vouchers that vacated throughout the last year. So we're working off the current pool. So it might be every 2 to 3 months. It might be no application or no pools at all, or it might be every month that I'm pulling. It just depends on how many I have to fill.
You guys are asking such fantastic questions. Well, again, want to encourage folks to complete the poll that is launched. Drop your email in the chat if you need slides and did not register for this Zoom. And Leslie, we can't thank you enough for giving your time to make sure we understand this really well. So grateful to the team here who's going to be supporting our neighbors who need our help to find stable housing.
Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope I get to meet all of you in person someday. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I wish you all a great day.